Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Keilani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. Welcome back to Delightfully Dysfunctional. I'm Keilani, and I'm here with my co-host, James.
Hi, guys.
And we are so happy to be back for recording day. I was really excited to be back today. It feels good.
It's such a good vibe. This is like this is probably my safest safe space.
Oh, good. Am I providing a safe space for you, James?
No, you make me feel in danger.
I do. I ask the tough questions. I want you to be on your toes. I want you to be a little afraid.
Yeah.
I like it when people are a little afraid of me.
I mean, you're definitely intimidating.
What?
I'm kidding.
Oh, 5 foot of me? I'm only 5 feet for the listeners out there. But everyone seems to think that I'm taller than I am. I don't understand it. I'd like to say it's my sparkling personality.
Well, see, my mom is also 5 foot and she's Asian.
Oh, yeah. We be scary. Those Asian women.
She's super intimidating. So maybe that's what it is.
My Grandma Sue, she used to be, I talk about Grandma Sue all the time when we're playing skip bow because she drilled in like the best strategy for skip bow, and we just played last night, so I was always like, thank you, Grandma Sue, like shout out. But she would be so pushy about things like, you don't like tomato? Eat tomato. Why you don't like it? You eat it. You eat now. Like everything.
Is she the Japanese one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hence this like terrible accent I'm trying to pull off. But that's what my Grandma Sue sounded like.
That's funny.
Yes. And I don't know. It's funny just like the different like cultural aspects. Because your mom is like born in Korea.
She got a thick accent. She called me, Jimbo, eat vitamin.
Yes.
That's what she says. But she makes the best food. Yeah, when you said Skip-Bo, that's the card game.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Skip It. Remember the thing where you...
Yeah. That'd be like, if my grandma played Skip It, I'd be like...
And she's like,
dang.
Keilani,
You skip it. You skip. You do it.
You skip one.
No,
Yeah.
she was just like pushy about things. But I loved her. In fact, I feel bad though. Like, honestly, her pushiness, I don't think was well received by some of the other like daughter-in-laws in the family. So I was like the only grandkid that kept in touch with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that part was sad.
Yeah,
There's like
sad.
different family dynamics that happened there, but yeah, I loved my Grandma Sue. She was funny, and I don't know why she'd always laugh like this too.
Well, see, Japanese people, they either speak really high or from the diaphragm.
Oh yeah. I think that she would speak from the
So when she would laugh, we'd go hoi, 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 hoi.
I must have inherited some of it because like superlatives in high school, like most likely to or whatnot. Like because I came from such a small school, but I had the largest graduating class. We were 47, and that was the largest class, and it was a 7 through 12 and school.
Oh, good grief.
It was small community. All you could come up with, I got weirdest laugh. So thanks. That was what was memorable, is that I've got a weird freaking laugh.
Yeah, you do have a really weird laugh. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I've accepted it now. I think I've like snorted multiple times. I'm like, I embrace it. It is what it is.
No, your laugh's not that weird. It's unique for sure, but it's not weird and like it's not embarrassing or anything.
I think I should throw in some of the Grandma Sue too, so it could be a little bit like and then that's gonna be my signature laugh.
People hear you laughing, they can't tell if you're singing Old MacDonald or laughing.
Or having a seizure.
When I really laugh, I just become completely silent. It sounds like this.
I can't. Nothing comes out. Yeah. And like when you laugh so hard, your abs hurt. You're like, oh.
Yeah. Did you hear me say "good grief" as an exclamation because I'm filtering myself?
We don't need a filter, but today we've got
special guest.
Yes, my kiddo is in the back helping his dad, Zach, and I'd love if Oakley could just give us a hi. He's 12 years old.
No, get right up on the mic, Oakley, and say,
yo.
Say, what up? This is Oakley.
Hello. There he is. He's so wonderful. He's going to be helping us out today, and he's just the best. He's the best kiddo. Yeah. And so I'm so happy that he's here for the summer. It's my favorite. It's my favorite time of year.
One day I'll bring my kids in, and then they'll just occupy the entire table.
And they'll stare at us?
Yeah. They probably would just be like, yeah.
What's going on here? Yeah.
So you were in Idaho.
Yeah, my mom lives over in Idaho in the Coeur d'Alene area.
Nice.
And we love going to visit her. And there's always something new to find over there. And we've just decided there's not a lot of like green trees and things here where we live in the Tri-Cities. We're in the desert of Washington, little known fact. And just the little known fact that Washington has a desert. I feel like people picture like Seattle being all of Washington, and it's not the case. So we love to go find some good hiking, and we went on the Trail of the Coeur d'Alenes, which is like a 75-mile bike trail. We only did 10.5 miles, but it was so beautiful and wonderful, and yeah, I love it. That's my church, and when I can be outside with nature, it's when I feel the most connected spiritually, so I loved it.
That's cool. Yeah, I agree. We, Tri-Cities, made national news a couple times in the last few years. One time was because there was like a nuclear leak scare, because that's why people live here, is for the Hanford Reserve. And then the other time was because our tumbleweeds shut down traffic.
That's right.
They're so awful here that it created this giant barricade in the middle of like the highway.
About that.
And they had to bring snow plows out. And that was so like dubious that it made national news. And I remember being like, why do we live here? But
well, I mean, you like grew up here. I really have that question for myself because I've now been here for over a decade. I realize that the house that I'm in, I've lived in longer than any other house in my life. And I went from Red Lake Falls, Minnesota, in Red Lake County, biggest town in the county, no stoplight in the whole county, 30 below winters, hot, humid summers, tornadoes in the summer. It was ranked the worst place to live. The worst place to live in the United States. And now I live here where we're known for tumbleweeds and a nuclear reactor that's like leaking. Like, what is wrong with my choices? Could someone analyze that, please?
Yeah, but Coeur d'Alene, though, is probably ranked in the top 10 in the nation.
Yes, and my mother's also a realtor, actually. So she's like, there's a lot of movement and growth. I didn't realize how many celebrities live in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, Oprah has a property out there.
Yeah, Oprah, I guess, like Kim Kardashian had her kid's birthday party there. Mark Zuckerberg, he goes and visits. And what other name drops were there? Does Zach, do you remember what my mom was saying? No. Famous people live there.
Yeah,
and it's pretty. And I shouldn't tell people because I don't want. It's horrible. Don't live there. Don't move there.
Oh, it's already the secret's out. I know. Demi Moore had lived in Idaho somewhere, and
I think like farther south.
Okay, yeah, like Sun Valley or something like that. Yeah, speaking of Kim Kardashian, the fact that she dated Pete Davidson, I feel like gives me a shot. But then he's like, something about him, I think I've been told that he has BDE, and and so, but maybe I don't detect it because I'm not attracted to that. But
I don't know.
It's a mystery.
I was thinking, how would Kim Kardashian, like celebrities, if they go out anywhere, they have to wear like a disguise. So how would Kim Kardashian, like wear something to disguise that ass, like even
I don't think she wants to.
Maybe she doesn't, but if she were like, was she having to go out in a muumuu? Like, how do you disguise yourself in that case?
That's like her greatest asset. And I don't think that there was no need to disguise it.
No, I don't think but all celebrities enjoy like people surrounding them though when they go somewhere in public.
I would see if I was a celebrity, I would be all about that.
James, it's my goal in life to decrease your love of yourself. I'm sorry. Slowly but surely.
Wait, but that's been a struggle. I've learned to love myself.
Yeah, but I think we need a balance.
Did I go a little too hard on it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. He's gonna start patting his butt. He's going, this is how you do it.
Surround me, please.
Yeah. So check that out. Back it up.
Yeah, I am a little arrogant now. Today in the...
Don't worry. I'm here to bring you down. I mean, not just joking.
It's okay. Life will humble me.
It does have a way of doing that.
That's been the theme of
true.
my life. When I get a little too proud, something happens.
Something happens. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was talking about I want people to admire my butt.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe you should wear more spandex. Maybe a nice bodycon.
Okay. Sold.
Sold. Yes.
I came in and my microphone had dog hair all over it or something.
Well, I don't know what kind of guests they've been having in here then.
Maybe I was going to say
who
Chewbacca.
Knows? Who knows what kind of podcasts are happening
Yeah.
in here? We should disinfect. Just kidding.
So anyway, I think this is our last recording before we have our first official guest, right?
You might be right. Honestly, it's been a blur. So maybe you're right.
Although we had scheduled her 2 weeks ago and then she had to postpone. That's the one thing that I love about our podcast is that we don't depend on guests. So when we bring on guests, it'll be like a nice bonus. But we can always, if they cancel, which I would say guests cancel 50% of the time in my experience. And you can always fall back on the host. But if you have a podcast that depends completely on guests every single time, then you can't be consistent.
It's just a lot to coordinate, and I don't have time for that.
Yeah. So I feel like we've really laid the groundwork though, and it's been great. Like we've gotten a ton. We have hours of practice now. You know.
Yes, we do actually. So and because there's a side hustle, which is the work that I do that I shouldn't say it's my side hustle. This is my side hustle. This is my fun thing.
Are you saying your counseling is your side hustle?
Right? But it's because this is really fun, and counseling is fun, but there's also obviously a depth and a seriousness there. But I do have another round of my relationship workshop. I'm calling it the Intentional Love Workshop because I think that's what it's all about, is being really intentional about how to connect with your partner. And I'm doing a mini version. It's just a one-day version. So one day to really reconnect with your partner and to really find some tools. And then there'll be more opportunities to dive down deeper that I'll be providing as well. But on July 29th, that's something you can sign up for. And it is $200 per couple, which is a steal of a deal when you think about the average cost of counseling being about $150 per session, because $200 for many more hours from 9:30 to 4:30, it gives you more bang for your buck. So if you are interested, you can go to coachkeilani.com and find out some more information. But I am excited because the first round I did, I just saw the love grow between the couples right before my eyes, and that's what I love. I love love. I love connection. I love when people can reconnect with their person. So I want to be a part of making that happen, and you can sign up for the Intentional Love Workshop on July 29th with me.
Nice. Can you sign up as a single?
I kind of want to do some work with singles. I know you're joking, but I'm for real. Like, I feel like I got to have this information when I was single because of being in grad school, and it was helpful. Even if I stumbled along the way, like, it was still helpful to kind of know what I should be looking for.
Nice.
And I don't know. Otherwise, it's difficult to know when you're single what makes a happy, healthy relationship.
Yeah.
So I would love to know if that's something anyone would be interested in.
I mean, I'm down. Will there be snacks?
Yeah, I mean, snacks bring people together. That's a must.
For sure.
Snacks.
And alcohol.
Yeah.
There probably won't be alcohol.
There
right?
won't be alcohol. You can engage with that later. But I heard that there's a singles night. I think that like in-person singles mixers are coming back. I think people are tired of like
I think that's just
online
called the bar.
dating. No, there've been like singles mixers in town that are specific. Your face just said that you think that's a lame thing.
Honestly, if
I think that's a brave
if I had
thing.
the opportunity and like I would probably lean into it and be open-minded.
Yeah, be curious.
Yeah.
Curious culture.
But I'm just visualizing a bunch of nerds. Yeah.
You know what?
You know what love spells backwards? Evil.
No, it doesn't. Not
Evil.
Not in English.
That's how I feel about it. I don't love. I don't believe in love.
kicking
believe
you
in a
out.
thing called love.
But now spell evil backwards, James.
Live. I'm so confused with this wordplay. No, I'm just kidding. I do love love. Yeah, and I love nerds.
And you love nerds. You better, because as the role of your pseudo little sister, I am a self-proclaimed nerd. Self-proclaimed. I've played D&D. I've read books way more than I should in a really nerdy way when I should be doing other things. I don't know what else I do. I crochet. I know how to cross stitch. I mean, not well, but I know how.
You are a
I
nerd.
garden.
But like a
I know.
cool nerd.
Am I a
Like
cool
you don't
nerd?
look like a nerd.
I'm making nerds cool. I don't look like I'm a deceptive nerd.
Like you have a Harry Potter water bottle.
I do right here.
That's a mouthful. Harry Potter water bottle.
Yeah, that would be.
Speaking of nerds, and we'll go into the topic after I share this thought. But on the other day, I was in the park, Leslie Groves, and if you're one of our listeners and you were part of this crew, then I apologize in advance. But there was this group of people playing polo, on mountain bikes,
Oh.
which at face value sounds cool, and they did draw a crowd, but they were all wearing bicycle helmets. And then just the whole aesthetic of it, I was like, this is like the nerdiest idea. Like, why would you wear bicycle helmets when you're in the grass and they're going maybe at top speed of 2 miles per hour?
Oh.
Because there's
okay,
nothing.
That is kind of fun.
There's nothing nerdier looking, in my opinion, than a bicycle helmet.
You know what? When you bang your head, you're gonna regret that.
But there has to be a trade-off. Like, for example, in the Tri-Cities, we are filled with nerds, like legit nerds. And they're like middle-aged guys who get their midlife crisis and they buy a motorcycle. But then they get on the motorcycle wearing white New Balances. And it's like, if you're going to get the motorcycle, you got to get the shoes, right?
You gotta get the look.
And then they'll wear the super high visibility vest. I'm like, you guys, this is like downbreeding a wolf. Like, they went from Hell's Angels to these nerds. It's like a wolf seeing like a pocket poodle and being like, what have you done with my people?
I feel like you do you. You do you, boo.
I'm sorry.
Safety first.
You gotta pay homage to the roots
To the roots.
some way. White New Balances and high visibility vests, nerd. Get off that motorcycle.
Oh my god. No, but wear a helmet. Please wear a helmet.
Yeah,
Just like
wear a
PSA.
helmet if you're going above 2 miles per hour.
Sure, I'll give that caveat. I mean, if over 2 miles an hour, wear a helmet.
If I'm on a bicycle, I just don't wear a helmet. And I'm sorry if there's like helmet advocates. And I will probably die, ironically, from head injury from a bicycle. But at least I'll look cool.
You know what? I'm having the delightful humans come after you. I want you to come after this man and tell him to wear a helmet.
It's a hot take,
All
I know.
the time. I want you to come into the studio with a helmet.
Thing is, the last time I made a hot take, it got
I know.
200,000 views. So,
Look, do we have any other hot takes? I'm trying to think if I have any.
well, that's a hot take, and that's going to become a reel.
Okay, your hot take is that helmets are lame. Oh no,
Helmets are nerdy.
I'm
sorry, Oakley.
disagreement.
You should wear your helmet when you ride a
Yes,
bike. But they have
yeah.
like cool BMX helmets. Those look cool. But like the aerodynamic ones that like Lance Armstrong wears,
Guess what, Oakley? James is gonna buy you a new BMX helmet. Thanks, James.
you can put cool stickers all over it.
Yeah,
I will.
James is gonna invest in a new helmet for you.
It's gonna be
That's
Star
so
Wars
nice. It's so nice of him.
I just wrote that check with my back, didn't I?
Ah.
Okay, anyway, that is my tangent. But let's get into the topic. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about don't worry. I can't sing today. What am I trying to do? I still don't have a
worry
voice. You sing, please.
About a thing,
I'm just waving my hand.
'cause every little thing is gonna be all right. There we
We're
go.
talking about happiness habits.
Oh,
How
that-
to be
with
happy.
that song, I thought we were gonna talk about marijuana.
Oh.
But I mean, okay,
Yeah.
happiness habits.
I mean, that's a topic for another day. I'm down for that someday, talking about that. But yeah, I mean, how do we be happy? What does it mean to be happy?
Yeah.
What are the things that we have learned help you be happy?
Or as the French call it, happiness. Sorry.
Yes. And does that have anything to do it? And like throughout life, throughout history, philosophers, psychologists, even, spiritual leaders, they've pondered this question about what makes people happy. So it's not just a new thing that we're thinking about. It's something that's been thought of for a long, long time. So
That's
the
a deep
Greek
question.
philosopher Aristotle believed that true happiness, or I'm going to butcher this, eudaimonia.
What?
Eudaimonia.
Yeah.
Eudaimonia
Eudaimonia.
is achieved through the cultivation of virtuous habits. So according to him, it's not enough to simply experience momentary pleasures. We must strive to live a life of virtue and moral excellence. And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What's your hot take?
To attach happiness to like a standard of behavior, that kind of rubs me the wrong way. But
Isn't that what your religion does?
no.
You're more religious than I.
Well, I mean, and that's a huge misconception
What's your take on that?
on biblical Christianity. Well, it's all about
Is it not striving to live a life of virtue and moral excellence?
it's supposed to be from a position of like love. Love for Jesus, and then like your actions become like a symptom of that love, which I feel like could be applied to happiness, like loving life and being content with life, and then your virtuous behaviors become second, like a symptom of that, but deliberately trying to like reverse engineer it almost, where like being virtuous and then hoping happiness will be a symptom of that, I feel like is backwards. Does that make any sense?
Okay. I think that I believe in a lot of what Aristotle is saying, so that's my hot take, baby.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that those virtues that you are striving for are things that someone is telling you to do.
Yeah.
I think it becomes more.
Good point.
I think that it is something that you have to sit with and ask yourself. And we've talked about this in another sense when it comes to like what characteristics or qualities are important to you, and like kind of ranking the importance and how much you are investing into those things as a guideline for where to spend your time and energy. So in that sense, I do find that is true, because the more that I've lived my values, I have found more ease in life, and I've found that it is much easier to access happiness. So maybe it's a piece of the pie anyways.
Now that you've phrased it from that angle, I 100% agree with you.
Would you say then that maybe I've got something on Aristotle? Like maybe I'm putting that out there.
Well,
Maybe I've cracked something. No,
I mean, Aristotle,
JK.
did he like, I'm sure he wrote way more he expanded on that. But yeah, the reputation with yourself, I feel like that's the key, because like the virtues, when you said just now, it's not virtues that other people are telling you. That was the game changer.
Okay.
Because I'm like, if you're, because in my mind I was like, I thought he was saying living like societal standards, almost like people pleasing, like trying to be virtuous for the sake of like living a I don't know, a righteous life.
Yeah. And I think maybe at the time of Aristotle that could have been more of the case. There's a lot more independent thinking. The world is more diverse, and there's more connectivity. So it's not like we are in a homogeneous society where everyone is the same and there's a similar culture and belief. It's a mixing pot. And so I think that with that comes a reevaluation of what your morals and values are in line with that. Like a huge one for me is integrity. And I define integrity not just in like, if I say that I'm going to do something, I will try to do it to the best of my abilities, but also that I'm going to be self-aware enough to be accountable. Like to me, that encompasses that, or to have humility and to, feel really good about the actions that I take or the things that I say.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got stuck on the word homogeneous, and all I could think was a really smart gay guy.
You know what the word homogeneous means?
Yes, I do.
Okay. But that'd be funny if that was like an alternate definition.
Aristotle was a homogeneous.
Oh my
You said it was a lot more free thinking back then.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, wasn't he Greek? So I mean, they were into some stuff. And a lot of things went with the Greeks. Anyway,
Dang, were we opening a can of worms?
maybe. You know what? He can't argue with us. So, ha!
He's dead.
Hi, you homogeneous.
He gone. Homogeneous. I'm gonna have to use that all the time now.
Oh no. So a lot of his virtues align with modern psychology, and that focuses on building character strengths and practicing those virtues like gratitude and kindness and forgiveness, and how that can, I mean, those are characteristics that can enhance our life. Well, how do you said yes with such enthusiasm?
Vigor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like gratitude, kindness, forgiveness are important qualities?
No, I'm listening to sports. I was cheering. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I'm going to kick him. I'm going to kick him under the table. He's going to leave with bruises.
Dang, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? That's
No, gratitude. I am so not consistent with it. But, well, I guess I think my gratitudes, but I know that a really common practice is to write your gratitudes. And I just don't like using a pen and paper, you know? It's, but whenever I do it, I feel like a mental shift, because there have been times where I've been like depressed and I would manually like rewire my brain in that moment to just focus on all the things I'm thankful for. Even when things are pretty awful in that moment, you can always find something, and it almost like creates like the opposite momentum, you know, like mentally. And so I'm a strong believer in gratitudes.
Yeah, and I love that we are starting with this topic about gratitude.
It's one of the habits then, right?
It is.
Okay.
It is one of the habits. It's a habit that Sean Anker, who is a currently live person, I don't know if he's a homogeneous or not, but he's alive today and well, and he's a positive psychology researcher and author who studied happiness habits. And when it comes to gratitude, in practicing an intentional gratitude practice, it's shifting our mindset. It really is rewiring our brain, because our habits rewire our brain and create new neural pathways so that we are just looking for the positive naturally. Mm-hmm. So I love that. It's something that we've incorporated into our evenings. I think we actually forgot, Zach and Oakley, last night to do our gratitudes. I thought about that when I was laying in bed, but we try to do them every night at dinner, and we say, let's do 3 gratitudes. And I emphasize this with my clients, probably to the point that they're like, I get it. But I find it to be that important. Yeah. And I don't want it to be something like that it has to be so big that we're grateful for. When it is a hard day, that is when you should be practicing gratitude the most. And it doesn't have to be, you know, I got a gift, or it was my birthday, or la da 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 da. Did you see blue sky today? You know, did you get a smile from someone? You have to look for the moments and sometimes create the moments. Or I did something nice for someone and it made me feel good. You manufactured that gratitude then. You know, I snuggled with my dog and that gave me comfort. I watched something that made me really laugh out loud. I had a special conversation with someone. I accomplished a task that I'd been putting off and it felt really good. Like, find those moments. And he calls it the doubling effect, or where you then share your gratitude with someone else. Or if you write it out, it's not that you have to write it out, but the practice of kind of getting it out of your head doubles the effect, because it puts your mind back in the mindset of what you're grateful for and re-experiencing it. Yeah. So I think that that's a really cool shift that we could focus on too. And I since I'm on the topic of Sean Anker, I'll spout out some of his other top habits that he has for cultivating lasting happiness, like positive social connection, that nurturing our relationships and the people that are important to us, and fostering kindness and empathy towards other people. So if you're a bitter asshole, that's not going to be an ingredient that's going to help you be a happier person. We are we are social primates. We are meant to have social connection, and that
Yeah.
means helping one another. And I think that is a flaw in part of our current society, is that we've prized individuality to the point that we are now lacking some of those benefits that we once had of social connection. And, we're seeing some of the effects of that. Depression is on the rise.
Yeah, and especially like with COVID, just a couple years removed now, a lot of people were forced to isolate because like the best place for depression and shame and all that to thrive is in isolation. And it's almost like instinctive when somebody has shame to go into hiding, in depression. But yeah, I wish in a perfect world somebody who needs friends would seek friends and come out and be willing to share, like their shame and their depression.
Yeah, and I think there's some of it is a lack of we're so busy. I think that in a hunting gathering society, it was about 4 hours of work a day, and then the rest was spent in social connection and in spending time with one another and
Yeah.
in do activities of spiritual connection. And we are now so overbooked and overbusy that that's a piece of the difficulty. That there's a meme that I feel like I see posted quite frequently, but like my adult friendships are basically like making plans to hang out once a month and then like having to reschedule continually, or like
Yeah.
seeing my friends quarterly, and it becomes more difficult. And certainly there are some people who have found more family relationships, like friends who become family, and you have more of that intentional time, and that's beautiful. But I think largely for people it becomes difficult, or there's a social anxiety, especially with social media, where people are posting their highlight reels and having this impression that everyone's life is sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm admittedly
Guilty.
like but don't I don't think the issue, I don't plan on posting. I don't need my inner world to be posted broadly on social media. It is more an awareness that people should just have, that what people post on social media is not the reality. That should be clear. And knowing that these are just clips and highlights that we feel comfortable with sharing, you are not under an obligation to post more than that or anything different. It's an understanding you have to carry with you so that you don't feel this unhealthy comparison.
Yeah, but it's still like we're like visual creatures. So even if we consciously are aware that what we're seeing is not the total picture, that's still what we're seeing. And, it's still manipulative.
Yeah, I think that there's a definite pros and cons to social media, and even just to the internet and how much it's changed society.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe that it's done more good than it's done bad.
Oh.
Hot take.
Yeah.
But it's a mixed bag for sure. I think my concern, and I've aired it on the podcast before, is that there are consequences to the things that we introduce into humanity that we are unaware of, because now it's become an experiment, and we are part of a social experiment of what that means to be having that influence, and especially to have that influence for our kiddos who have it throughout childhood. Like my daughter knows how to, find her favorite show on an iPhone, and she's not even 2. And I guess you can, mom shame me for that, but that doesn't mean she has full access all the time. She has limited access. She just has more access clearly than you and I did, because there wasn't a thing until our 20s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just switched from Android to iPhone, so I feel like I'm a computer genius. Not a homogeneous.
Not a
Computer
homogeneous, just a computer genius. Oh, dear. So moving on, mindfulness. That's another practice that Sean Anker says, which means really being fully present in the moment without judgment. And it's a way to reduce stress and improve self-awareness. I think that can be difficult, but it's really important. Like, if there's a few mantras that have helped me along the way in terms of it's all temporary. This life is temporary. This moment is temporary. Your happiness can be temporary.
Yeah.
Your sadness, your pain is also temporary. And that reminder lets me know to be grateful for the moments that are beautiful and sweet and to seek them out, because if I don't, and if I'm not savoring it, I'm passing them up, I'm missing the opportunity. And it's also a reminder when things are really hard and shitty that it's not going to be hard and shitty forever.
Yeah,
It's
there's
temporary.
no such thing as a permanent pain.
And in the grand scheme of life too, being temporary, I think it helps me recognize the sweetness of the moment and the beauty of this life and what I want to fill the days and the moments of my life with while I'm here.
Yeah.
It helps me be more mindful about what I'm wanting to cultivate. And it doesn't have to be that you're meditating, but even if all you can do is 2 minutes and it's a guided meditation, or I feel like the practice of gratitude is part of mindfulness.
Yeah.
These are ways that you cultivate. I think being outside is a wonderful way to be mindful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we spoke about this a couple episodes ago where like scaling life down and making it more simplistic has always had a positive effect on emotions and like mental health. Because like the internet, just we're more saturated with information, didn't really do us any favors, but like when you take away your devices and everything for a day, you feel way better typically. And so
I can't wait. I've been itching to like go to a cabin where the stars are bright at night and there's no light pollution and there's no cell service, and just getting that time. And I find that it's really difficult in my reality when I'm home to like have I'd like to have better boundaries with my devices. I think it's difficult probably for both of us. The line of work that brings in the bacon, it requires you to be attentive to emails or things like that. Messages. I want to be mindful of my clients' needs, and sometimes there's reschedules or there's things like that I have to address. Or, I'm presenting in a conference this week. Then I need to make sure that I'm on top of that type of work. So it becomes difficult sometimes. However, it's an important thing for us to think about, which brings me to meaningful work. Like, do you have meaningful work? Is there something that you're contributing that is greater than yourself that can give you a sense of satisfaction? It doesn't have to be the work that you do. I think that is where you find satisfaction, but you can still find nuggets there, even if it's like I'm contributing to my household or to my children's well-being. Find the nugget there of what is positive about it and try to focus on that. But I don't like the idea of people kind of being complacent in life and thinking life owes me happiness or it's not what I expected.
That's a victim mindset.
What do you owe this life? What do you owe the people around you? What gift have you not uncovered that you owe it to the world to explore? And usually it's the thing that you're scared shitless of. Like finding your greatest good, your greatest purpose can be frightening because it means that it's a far way to fall, and it means there's risk involved. I find that to be the most thrilling part of this life, is to challenge yourself. And we'll talk further about goal setting, because that's another piece. You don't want to look at Everest and feel as though you have to conquer it. This happens in small little baby steps and small little habits. So these things we're talking about today are some of the pieces that can help enlighten you to discover and feel brave and feel curious about what your purpose is. But this life does not owe you that it's going to be fair or easy or convenient. It won't be. And I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to be a downer. I think that I am a hopeful and optimistic realist, that this life is here to challenge you to be better. There is a strain that is involved in finding happiness that we need to acknowledge. I need those difficult, hard moments that have me, crying in the fetal position in order to know when I'm really feeling like I'm thriving and I've connected to the tools that help me feel like I've reached my highest good. If I don't have that, how would I know? We need the contrast.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just hitting home runs right now.
Just warming up.
Yeah. No, I let me try to just spill my thoughts. Yeah, I love what you said, because it's almost like there's a feeling of finding your purest self. It's like, instead of asking the question, who do you want to be, the question should be, who are you truly? And then the implication with that is, because you haven't been true to yourself. So, like, yeah, figure out who you are and what you were, like, called to do. And then, yeah, like you said, it's a process to get there and to achieve that. Because I feel like if you're on a path of just living out your dreams, then there is no failure. It's just you just kind of put one action in front of another, and you get closer and closer. There's really no place to fall, because you're on, like, the proper ground. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does, and I think it also means a little bit of, like, not giving a fuck about what people think about you.
Yeah.
That takes a bravery.
Like, you're doing you.
And, like, those are things that I've had to learn. I gave way too many fucks for a long part of my life, and it feels really freeing to be like, I'm taking ownership of my time on this earth.
Yeah.
And that looks like taking chances and caring less, because there's no possible way for me to do that. There's as many perspectives on this planet as there are people, and the way that you think and process things or you interpret things is completely different than the way that I do and the way that anyone else does. So if I'm trying to live my life under the guise that everyone's perception has to think positively or view me in this certain sense, boy, that's crippling. Well, I'm not going to make a move. I'm going to feel frozen. And I think I speak with a lot of people who are really confused about what their purpose is. And my advice then is to be curious and to try new things, the things that scare you. Even if it's not something that you find you enjoy, you are learning something.
Yeah.
Like, I tried a sales job. I learned I am not built for sales. That was still valuable information for me to gather, even if it wasn't my most pleasant working experience. It helped me know and to adjust my internal compass in the direction that I want to go. So, this other point that he has is a positive mindset of optimism, which I think is more about being aware of even the hardships in life, how they guide you.
Time out. When you did a sales job?
Oh, like at David's Bridal.
Okay.
We can talk about
this is interesting because listeners, imagine if Keilani was successful in sales. We wouldn't have her doing her true calling, right? She wouldn't be here, changing the world. So, like, that's it's so interesting.
I'd be so miserable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, and a lot of people will do like a sales job and they won't be successful, and they'll probably tell themselves, I failed. It's like, no, you didn't. You were just doing something that wasn't true to yourself.
Yeah.
Like you failed at sales, Keilani, right?
I couldn't convince someone to purchase something that they
because
didn't love.
It's inauthentic.
Here's what I guess I do find myself in sales in a different sense, because here I am. I'm selling the idea of, like, personal growth, and that's something I believe in. And
no,
it's something
you're telling the truth.
Free, and it's something that I feel in my bones, and it's something I think everyone deserves, and I want for people to experience, and I want for you to be curious about it. And as I'm shouting into this microphone, I hope you can feel my passion, because I just think there's nothing more beautiful.
You're not selling, you're serving.
Oh,
and there's it's the opposite, because selling is manipulating, trying to get somebody to do something that they, wouldn't necessarily be good for them, but you would benefit from. But serving is the opposite.
I think there's so much beauty in this life, and if you have a choice, and I know that it's hard to cultivate. I am not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying I've always been perfect at it. I'm saying the struggle is worth it, and the intention and the practice of these habits and of healing and of identifying what's restorative versus indulgent and of being intentional about your values that you're wanting to cultivate. It is worth it.
Yeah.
So don't be lazy with this life. Be intentional.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you failed at sales.
Thanks. I'm glad I failed at sales too.
I have failed at sales too, but I'm supposed to be good at sales. I'm just kidding. I'm failed.
But again, I think, there's ways where if your current situation isn't aligning with your passions, that doesn't mean it's forever. View it as temporary. Find the positives that it brings to you now and try to identify what it is that you want and how you can inch towards that, whether it is something that is paying you or whether it's something that's not. This podcast doesn't pay us.
No.
It's something that we do out of passion. It's something that we do and we show up for because we enjoy it. And those are the things that also end up, creating a bigger goal. Or I guess I also speak to people who have really lofty goals but don't have any intention of even looking into it.
Yeah.
And it's like I think it holds a place of self-esteem for them if they're like, well, someday I'm going to do this. If you aren't planting the seeds now, then that someday is BS that you are just lying to yourself about. So I'm not saying you need to go and invest your time and money to an extreme extent. Do some searching. If the person that you look up to who's doing the thing that you want to do some research into what they're doing, and don't be afraid of asking questions. When I'm really at my highest self in my energy, I have no problem reaching out and asking questions. The worst answer I can get is a no, and then whatever, I'll ask the next person. Do you have your time for me to ask some questions and be curious about it? So if it's a job shift, ask someone that you know or someone that you could get to know, do research into what that person is doing. Could I buy you a coffee? Could I buy you lunch? Could I pick your brain about where you got to where you're going, the things that you like, etc., etc. But if you just work and you come home and you play video games for the rest of your evening and you're just, not being productive with your time that you have, I encourage you to be more mindful and intentional because that is within your power. It is not life's job for it to fall into your hands. It is within your power to cultivate and be curious.
Totally. I like that you use the terminology of planting seeds because that's something we do unintentionally as well as intentionally, like playing video games, doing unproductive things. You are planting seeds that will sprout of, in the short future. It's almost like you're planting weeds. But so life is all about learning lessons and planting seeds as you go, and then you'll harvest, a month or two or a year down the road from whatever you were doing a year ago.
Yeah, and I think that cultivating an atmosphere of kindness too. For me, that definition of kindness has really shifted over the years. I thought it used to be giving. I thought it used to be over-functioning. I thought it was doing all the things for everyone. I thought that it was I had to give the gifts, bake the cookies, do the things above and beyond without expecting reciprocation. And that I think now I have a lot more intention when I do those things. I don't expect reciprocation. My gifts are truly gifts, but I'm also not going to invest in something or in someone more specifically who doesn't consider me and doesn't, give me something restorative in return. I find that for me, kindness means clarity, and that can be difficult for some people. And it was a difficult learning curve for me as a former people pleaser and someone who was a bit more like passive when it came to conflict. And now I find, no, I want us to be on the same page. So I'm going to make sure that I'm clear about my intention, or I'm clear about my time, I'm clear about my energy, and that I'm communicating that and working through whatever awkwardness. Me working through the awkwardness to be clear, that's me being kind.
Yeah. And that's probably the safest relationship to have, is when you're not hiding anything, regardless of how the person might feel about your feelings. You're just offering clarity, like, this is how I'm feeling. And then if it's not reciprocated, if somebody takes offense to your clarity, then yeah, that's a pretty good what's the word I'm looking for? A good definer
Yeah.
of that person is not a good person to have a friendship or relationship with, you know.
Yeah, I think that's an important aspect of it is, not what is someone giving you, because that feels very greedy. I mean,
Well, it's more reciprocating
yes,
kindness.
I mean, and in being able to, like, for me, a friend who can really have a depth of conversation, I really value, because I find that can be sometimes a difficult thing to find. People
Yeah.
are uncomfortable with depth. I enjoy it. Someone who might want to do nerdy things like play a board game. That's my love language. I'm really into it.
Or bicycle polo.
Who wants to like bicycle with a helmet on? Like, sign me up. Like who can wants to give your time, and yeah, and in life being busy, that obviously looks different. Then maybe
Yeah.
that means that you're sending me memes, but we're laughing, and it's something that we both like. But you're still investing into the friendship in some way. I want an investment
Yeah.
in friendship. It doesn't mean that we're always giving equally. I want there to be a grace with one another, but there has to be an honesty and an integrity.
Yeah. The characteristics I feel like in a healthy relationship, and then just a healthy life altogether, would be clarity, curiosity. Because in a friendship, if I were to, let's say, tell you something, Keilani, that like was bothering me, but I just had to get it off my chest, bring it on the table, and you took offense, that's a lack of curiosity. But if you like looked into it, like, okay, well, tell me more. I'm interested. I know that that's not to afflict me. That's more just, you're just sharing with how you're feeling. Let's explore this a little bit. That's the most healthy response in relationship.
I find, so many people are really uncomfortable with conflict. That would be a really great episode. It's just like, how do you talk about hard things?
Yeah.
I think that there's a real fear of that. And like, I know I bashed video games. It's the difference between identifying whether it is restorative or indulgent. And that's true of other vices like scrolling, food, alcohol, smoking, etc., etc. It's an awareness of whether am I just escaping something without cultivating true happiness and numbing myself. And we have so many numbing agents in our world right now. I think it's something we have to really put a focus on. And science suggests that 40% of our happiness is within our control when we do intentional activities and habits. So Leo Tolstoy, another researcher, says, if you want to be happy, be happy. Like, you have the ability to cultivate that within your mind too. Obviously, circumstances can be hard. If your mother died yesterday, it's going to be hard to be happy the next day. Part of it is also giving yourself grace with doing the best that you can, and your best is going to shift depending on what's going on. But you have things within your control, and that's that's a pet peeve of mine. Like, what's in your control, what's out of your control. Do not give up more to the ether in saying it's all out of my control and not taking action steps. That is unwise to your benefit, and I don't find that other people enjoy that type of personality either.
Yeah. One thing I had to tell myself was good news and bad news. Bad news is 99% of your crappy life is your fault. But the good news is that 99% of your awesome life is your fault. So, yeah, take action and reap the harvest,
Yeah.
so to speak.
This quote from the Buddha really ties into things that we've talked about too. The mind is everything, what you think you become. And that really follows a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy practices too, where your thoughts affect your feelings and affect your actions.
Hold on. I'm sorry. That was the fire hose for just now.
Okay.
Okay. The mind is everything.
What you think you become.
What you think you become. Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's the belief in being aware of yourself, metacognition, being aware of your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have thoughts that are saying, I'm stupid, I'm not capable, if I try that thing, something bad could happen, I'm only, all these bad things happened and I'm filtering out anything that's positive.
Mm-hmm.
These are examples of how what you think will become your reality, and you will stall your life.
Yeah.
You won't take charge. So your mind is powerful. If you start having a mindset, a growth mindset of cultivating, I am gathering lessons. I am meant here to learn. Mm-hmm. I am meant to evolve. I am meant to have humility. I am meant to challenge myself. It's not meant to be easy. And I can do hard things. Boy, that really shifts what I'm capable of and shifts who I become and who I feel inside. It shifts my inner world.
Yeah.
And that's something I have within my power to do. I'm not saying it's easy. This is decades of my intention that have accumulated me to this point in tiny, meaningful steps, in stumbles, in roadblocks, in piles of shit where I found the nugget that has been helpful and worthwhile. And I'm saying you can do it too. Well, do you have any, closing thoughts on the things that we've shared? Are there areas that you feel you could be more intentional of, or that you feel like you, it kind of is validating to hear that you've been doing? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, the thought came back to me. The victim mindset is such it's like a self-inflicted disease almost that can grow stronger, because in my own experience, I was responsible for the awful circumstances that I was in, but I had somehow taken hold of victim mentality of all this stuff is happening to me, woe is me. But then I remember stressing about what the future would look like because of business falling apart, and it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. And business did fall apart because I was expecting it to, and I wasn't working on keeping it afloat.
That thought of well, what's the point? I can't do this or that, but what's the point?
Exactly.
Right?
And so it became this muscle, this victim mindset became this muscle that I had been making stronger. So it became way harder to overcome that, until I reached a point where I just came to a epiphany of, okay, I need to take control of all this and go the opposite direction. And that was in October, and life is a billion times better now, because it's me. I've been consistent. So yeah, it's so interesting just how whatever, the two wolves parable, if you feed it, it will become stronger. So if you're feeding your victim mindset, it will become stronger. Just be super intentional with your mind, and I feel like that's the ticket to happiness. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and again, in little meaningful ways. So if this feels overwhelming or it feels difficult when you hear some of these happiness tips that we're discussing, and the thoughts about how to cultivate happiness, I would say start with a gratitude practice and tie it to a habit that you already have. Well, you brush your teeth maybe at the end of the day. Hopefully you brush your teeth at the end of the day. That's something you should start doing. It's good for your teeth. And then you should, that's when you can really be maybe thinking about the things that you're grateful for. Or if it's at dinner with your family, you can, start practicing what it feels like to start really sharing and cultivating the things that you're grateful for there.
Yeah.
And I find that kids really like it. I mean, Oakley keeps us accountable when there's days that we do forget, and I love that. He's like, we have to do our gratitudes.
Nice.
And other families that I've helped, when they cultivate it, they see a shift in their kids too, in them seeking the positive and seeking the good. So I think that that's a really simple way to get started. You don't have to do everything all at once. Baby steps, but take action on it. Don't, throw it out the window. I'm telling you it because it's something that really helps and it does no harm.
Yeah.
There's a twist to that, which actually brings us to our advice too. And so I'll read. We're ready for the advice portion, and I'll read.
That was our jingle, by the way.
Advice portion. I need to improve it, and maybe I don't know. I still have this like
rasp.
Yeah, sexy rasp going on right now. I don't know why it's still lingering, this illness, but I hope you're all reaping the benefits with your ears. Okay, so. Dear Delightfully Dysfunctional, I have a close friend who always responds to my problems with toxic positivity. Whenever I share my struggles or express my feelings of sadness, they brush it off and offer cliche phrases like, just stay positive, or everything happens for a reason. While I appreciate their intention to uplift me, I find myself craving genuine empathy and compassion. How can I address this issue with my friend and help them understand what I truly need? And I think that this is a slippery slope because there's some truth, but I can also understand our listener who's writing in, their feelings of not really being understood. And it probably, depends on some of the situation too, but do you have any immediate thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, first, can you define toxic positivity for us?
Yeah. I think that toxic positivity sounds a lot like only emphasizing that like kind of an easy answer that everything should always be positive, or like just stay positive. Like they gave good examples where there is a space, especially in close friendships, where it makes sense to say, I'm sorry, that really sucks. I can tell you're in a hard point in your life, and I know it must feel really daunting right now. And that makes sense to say that still, to give some compassion. I think that in the moment that's needed. Now, we would need more information on this particular situation, because I could also see how if there's someone who is continually bringing the same complaint when they have things within their control and they're not choosing to do it, that feels like a victim mindset. And its friend might be exhausted by hearing about your complacency on the issue and just a negative take that you're wanting to vent. And that's the slippery slope that I see, where again, if we're being clear, which would be a difficult conversation, I might say in that case, hey, I know that it's hard and it's difficult. We've talked about this before, but I really think there are some little steps that you could be taking. I'm not sure what else I can say to you, but I want you to know that I care about you, and I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. I'm still giving compassion, but I don't want to, in my friendships, I want to know and understand the issue. I can give compassion, but certainly I hope that they feel as though there's some tools that they have available to them as well.
Yeah, now that you said that, because I had an answer all teed up, but then you changed my thought again, which is great. I need to stop being so gung-ho. But yeah, that's a great point, because there have been friends where they just always come with issues, and after a while I'm just like, dude, shut the fuck up. And if you see that on their face when you're expressing your issues to this friend, then you might want to consider maybe taking action. But on the other side of the slippery slope, I do feel like it is common for people to just give little sweep under the rug answers, toxic positivity, and I feel like that is sort of a lazy response, you know, because there are people that have genuine issues that need to be heard and, you know, walked alongside of. And toxic positivity is almost like a suppression, you know. Hey, here's this one size fits all answer that works for majority of people, so I'm gonna throw that at you, hoping that you'll shut up, you know. And then so a lot of times people will be like, yeah, you're right, and then they'll suppress. But it's like, well, you didn't really deal with it, you know.
I think it's really shaming too. So let's assume that our dear listener who's writing in, it's something, you know, it's a big grief. It's a recent breakup. It's something that's fresh, that feels raw, that I think warrants compassion and empathy. For our listener, I would say assess your friends who have the capacity for that conversation, because I don't think that that's probably all of the friends in your circle who can do that. And be aware of who has the tools to do so. So choose the right moment too. And maybe I think this is really powerful in parental relationships too, for the kiddo in this example I would give, to be able to say, I'm needing you to just listen versus problem solve. Because I think parents can click into problem solving mode, and sometimes kiddos are just needing, like, can you just listen for a moment? I just know that you hear me and you see me in this moment? And I think that's what this friend was needing. So you have to understand what your needs are, and then you have to choose the right moment, choose the right person, and like also kind of, I would hope too from this episode, lean on maybe sharing some points of like, I know it's not always going to feel this way, but right now it does. And there has to be a little bit of knowing the temporariness as well, because that might be a fear that your friend has. Like, I don't want you to get stuck into the doldrums and be there forever. It's a sticky place. It really is.
Yeah.
From the perspective of the person giving advice, I think it's completely okay to say, I'm so sorry you're going through that. I don't know that I know what to say. I wish I had a better advice for you, but I really care about you.
Yeah.
And I think that can be, that's honest and that's kind, because you're being clear about where you're at. You don't have to be that go-to person that can give a depth of an answer to me, that still sounds compassionate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all 100% ditto.
Do you feel like that's ever a situation that you're stuck in on either end of?
Yeah, when I went through a really hard season, self-inflicted, I was met with a lot of people who, gosh, it was like, it was almost the opposite of toxic positivity. It was more like they wanted to be the hero in my story. And so they came with solutions and quick diagnoses. And so that's another topic, but that's also a huge problem when people are going through like grief.
Yeah.
You know, like, I am here to save you. I'm here to give you the best advice that you've heard. You know? So that's, and unfortunately, churches are filled with those types of people, and
kind of a hierarchy of like,
well, it's like a self-righteousness, like, I have the answers because I am tapped into the Almighty God. So he's speaking through me right now. And I'm not saying all people at churches are like that, but I'm saying churches do have a high concentration of people that behave that way. And that's what I experienced. And so that was a really bad, that was 1,000 times more damaging than it was like constructive.
It's like shame on you, or I think it can cultivate,
or it was gaslighting.
Yeah,
because it was insane gaslighting. Like, I don't know your whole situation, but I know the answer to it. So I'm diagnosing you with this. I'm quickly judging and diagnosing you with this. And if you disagree with me, it's because you can't trust your own mind.
Yeah. So I guess a difference too, or some other additional advice we could give to our listener is, it's okay, again, in asking what you need. If a friend is being that way and you think that they have the potential to be better, and maybe you just need to have this conversation with them, perhaps it's, I think that I'd like for you to be kind of curious. So there's a curiosity to understanding a situation too.
Yeah.
Where when there's toxic positivity that's happening, it's kind of like you said, saying or assuming that this person knows all the details. They feel that you're in the wrong, and they feel as though, this isn't as big of a deal.
Yeah.
And that is tricky. That's a tricky thing to navigate. That might not be the right person, or perhaps they just need some tweaks in their communication to be able to respond better. However, if it's someone who really is continually not seeing the hope, not taking action, not being curious about how they can improve their life, and this happens over a long period of time where it's established that it's a helpless mentality, that's draining. That's an emotional vampire.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to take responsibility for like your piece in that.
Yeah.
Because the alternative is that you are creating a miserable life for yourself, and that's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
If you feel as though there truly is no way out of your situation, the way out, as Buddha said, is through your mindset. So and DBT touches on that too, dialectical behavioral therapy, when it comes to like ways to solve a problem. You can change the circumstances. You can change the way you think about the problem.
Yeah.
You can tolerate the problem.
Radical acceptance.
Yeah, you can accept that this is the way that it is, and not be in conflict with how life is and the reality of it. There's an acceptance and grief to that can help you have more ease, really. And to not push against something that just, it is the way it is, and it is the way that it isn't. It's not the way I pictured it, and that's how it goes. Move on. Where do you go from there? Versus I'm so attached to the idea of what could have been.
Yeah.
And then the other one is you can stay miserable. That's a choice.
Yeah. That's a great okay, this I heard this one-liner that really resonated with me the other day, where this lady said, "A crush is a lack of information." And then if you apply that to life, where you've like projected a certain expectation, like you've fallen in love with something that's not real, then that's just a lack of information. Because I feel like living in reality, in pure reality, is like a form you can only arrive there through radical acceptance, because most of life is just grieving, sadly.
There's so much acceptance and grief.
Yeah.
I'm hit with waves of it. Always will be.
Yeah, but when you arrive on acceptance, whatever you're grieving, that's where you find contentment and like that peace and like that inhale, you know? And
an acceptance of what you can control and can't control. So there's hope along that path.
Exactly.
Too, that's illuminated, that if you had not gone through the radical acceptance and that pain and grief, you wouldn't be able to see that. And you'd be stuck in this illusion of an alternate reality of what could be that is not based in how our world operates.
Yeah. So I feel like something to really examine in your own world is, if you're an unhappy person, I'm going to venture to say that you're being lied to by your influences, or you're lying to yourself. Like you said, we don't like liars.
Our brain doesn't like lies.
Yeah, and so you got to identify the lie or the liar, and then eradicate that and get back to reality, get back to who you truly are supposed to be, and grieve all the things that you would hope for that don't exist.
Yeah. Ooh, it can be a tough pill, but I think it's a really powerful step in really finding happiness and knowing what action steps are within your control.
Yeah.
Versus waiting for, a magic wand, which, I tell I have my magic wands in the shop, so we're going to have to use these.
I see 10 magic wands in your water bottle.
In Harry Potter water bottle.
You nailed that.
The voice is coming back. Maybe we're gonna have a podcast episode where we just sing.
No, we're gonna live
musical.
We're gonna do a live on our TikTok of karaoke night. That's actually going to happen.
I'm ready for. I feel like this rasp could actually lend some good.
Okay, you said it. I'm gonna make you guys come out Saturday.
Zach hates karaoke. I enjoy it.
Zach. We'll give Zach some White Claws and French fries.
That's the magic ingredient.
That's what I always ingest on karaoke nights.
And that fuels you.
Yeah.
What's your go-to song?
Oh, Santa.
I like a ballad, which is not like a fun thing to sing, or I like a musical or Disney.
No, musicals do really well.
Nerdy. Musicals do well.
You have to. The trick in getting the crowd to interact is they have to be a song has a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and they all know.
Yeah.
Because I've sang songs that people didn't really know, but they had a lot of energy, and they just read the room. Nobody's feeling it. But Santeria by Sublime, that's one of my go-tos. But that's not high energy. But then Fat Bottom Girls has been like my top crowd pleaser.
Okay.
And then there's a few others. I like to experiment nowadays with songs.
Okay.
I really want to sing "Fool in the Rain" by Led Zeppelin because that's probably like my favorite singy song. But it's such an obscure. Nobody really knows that song.
I was gonna say I don't know that I know it. But
go listen to it. "Fool in the Rain" by Led Zeppelin.
Okay. I think I need to expand my karaoke repertoire because I don't know that like Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
Those do really well.
Are they doing well?
Yeah.
Because I could sing the shit out of some part of your world.
Oh my gosh, you need to come do karaoke.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete?
See, do
Are
you
you
feel
feeling
it?
it?
Yeah.
Are you feeling it, guys? Do you like it?
It's been Little Mermaid that you're singing, right?
That was Little Mermaid.
Okay,
yeah.
that is trending right now. There's the remake Little Mermaid.
Oh my gosh, you're right. This is my time
so
to
you're
shine.
sitting, you are sitting in your moment, Keilani. We're talking about living your true self.
But yeah,
You gotta take it.
Wouldn't it be funny if like I came in full costume, like ready?
You and Zach need to sing a Whole New World duet.
Yes, it's gonna be yeah. Oh, thank you, Oakley. Thank you so much, buddy. You're such a big help today. So proud of you for helping out. He's our producer. He's gonna get some cred.
I know.
What? Also, Oakley has a YouTube channel called Calm Universe Sounds. We're going to be adding some more, but he makes just calming tracks that he composes.
Whoa.
And that we design a background picture. So if you're needing some chill out music or meditation music or...
Can we use one in the outro of this episode?
We'll send it to you. Yes, we totally can.
I'm saying we'll use one of his sounds.
We're gonna, we
Okay.
will. We'll add it in. Oakley can help us decide, or maybe we can make a hot new one for this episode, Oakley. But he's very talented, and he loves when we're able to get people commenting and listening. It's super fun. So we're a creative family. And
Oakley, we're gonna
can't
make you
help
famous.
ourselves. Yeah. What? He's the coolest kid, so please support him. And thank you once again for tuning in to this episode of Delightfully Dysfunctional. As always, I am honored to share this space with you. And please like, subscribe, comment, give us a rating. Again, this is our passion project, but we would love for it to someday be something that, I'd like to pay off my student loans within my lifetime. That's really my goal. So if you'd like to contribute to my student loan fund, please like, comment, share this with some friends. That would be so appreciated. And we appreciate all of you, delightful humans, so much.
Yes, we do. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Good morrow.